everybody, and welcome to another Pixel Maven project tutorial. I'm Nicole Watt and this is Pixel Maven's Retreat. Today I have a fun card for you that is inspired by our newest Festive Friday challenge, and this challenge we are inspired by the festivity of Carnevale. It is an event that happens right before Ash Wednesday in the Christian faith, and it's celebrated differently all over the world, but we thought we would go maybe for more of the Brazilian Carnevale instead of Fat Tuesday and things like that. So all of the items on our inspiration list are things that you might find at Carnevale, and all you have to do is select 3 items to include in your project, and it doesn't have to be faith-based or have to do anything really with Carnevale. It just needs to grab 3 of those items so that way you can be inspired and put together a project of your own. So in my project, I chose bright colors, I chose glitter, and I chose sequins. And I love this card. So if you didn't know, neon is back in. It's been about a year since neon started creeping back into our wardrobes and things like that, but it's really in design right now. And it's a more sophisticated neon than we saw back in the 80s, thank goodness, right? Well, that gave me an opportunity to pull out this really cool 4-pack of neon colors from Sukaneko. It is a pigment ink and it doesn't come out of here, so you have the 4 colors and these little individual cubes don't come out. It's all one big thing, so you just have to know that going into it. They are sold in individual full-size ink pads, but you can get them in these little 4-packs as well. So I'm going to show you how I use this today in both the stamp and in the background. Alright, I'm going to start with the background, and this is the coolest thing about this is because these guys are spaced perfectly even in here. You can see, like, I even tried pulling the paper off the back to see if I could get these out, but they are firmly attached. So, but they're all in the same position, they are spaced evenly and everything, so all I had to do was flip this over and put it on my cardstock, and then I held at the bottom and swipe up with a firm pressure to get a really nice line, and I just kind of went over that a couple times and then kind of lift at the end to get a really nice swipe, and then I'm just going to turn my card over. Now you have to remember to flip your ink at the same time, so that way you're keeping your yellow with your yellow and your orange with your orange, etc., and then just repeat that process going up again. You can just leave it all in place and then swipe down if you want. I just found that it was easier to get some good pressure and to kind of keep everything all in place if I was swiping up and away from myself. Alright, so now I have these 4 beautiful swipes, and I am going to go down just a little bit to see if I can get those closer to the edge. There we go. Alright, and I'm just going to give this a few minutes to dry. It is a pigment ink, so you can see that it looks kind of glossy right now. It is going to dry to a beautiful matte finish, and then we'll be ready to put this all together. But we have some watercoloring to do first. Alright, so this is the Stacked Hello stamp set from the Stamp Market, and it does come with a coordinating die, which for some reason I don't have. It also comes with a die that will cut out this top hello, so you can put any color you want in there, and again, I don't have that die set. It's definitely on my list of things to buy, but I really do love the stamp, and it's not too hard to fussy cut, so that's what we'll be doing today. I already have it stamped out. I used VersaFine Clair to stamp it out because I was doing a little bit of testing with my neon inks first, and I'm just going to put some on my work surface here. So I've got a good amount of ink there, and I'm going to just use a water brush to activate these a little bit. And actually I don't think I need to do the yellow because I already have it already done. So like I said, this was a sample that I had started working on just to make sure that the whole concept was going to work, and then it did, so I ended up using a different version of it. But anyway, I'm just going up the 4 colors. Unfortunately, there's 4 different levels, and I'm just watercoloring this in. Now I haven't done this on watercolor paper. This is just plain Nina Solar White, and I got good results with it. You know how sometimes a plain white cardstock will bead up a little bit. I think it's because these are pigment inks that it's not reacting with the paper in such a way that it's causing it to bubble up, which was a nice surprise. But it gave me a nice smooth area to work with. And so I'm just working my way from the bottom to the top, and if I need to add more color in, I can. This one is turning out just a little lighter than I might have wanted, but that's okay. And the reason why I did it from bottom to top is because I wanted to make sure that I was keeping all of my layers in order, and knowing that in some places you would see the fourth layer and in other places you wouldn't was kind of important. So you definitely just want to work one direction or the other, and you'll have great success with this. All right, so that is the second layer. And I just move on to the third. I'll probably go back and add more orange off camera because it didn't really come in as dark as I really wanted it. And actually this pink isn't coming in very dark either. Hey, there we go. So you can see that using a water brush for this is not difficult. Another reason why I did it the way I did is because I'm working from lightest to darkest. So if for some reason I happen to get some of this color in the next layer up, it's okay, because it's going to get covered up very easily by the next darkest color. So I'll go through and get these all colored in. As you can see, it's quite simple to do. And when I get the next layer finished, I'll come back and show you the technique that I've done for the top layer. Alright, so I have all of my color on there, really great, and I want to do the hello in black. So I have a couple choices. I could color it in, but I thought I would make it really glossy and cool looking by doing some heat embossing on it. And the best way to get the heat embossing on there is to use a Versa marker. If you're not familiar with this product, it's been out for actually quite a long time. And it is basically your embossing ink in a pen format. If your local retailer or online retailer doesn't carry it, ask them to, because it really does a great job. So I'm not concerned about it picking up any of the ink because it's all going to get covered with embossing powder. So I'm just using the brush to color in carefully, and like I said, what it's doing right now is actually applying a layer of embossing ink, but only in the places where I'm putting the pen. So this works really great for selective embossing techniques like this, where I don't want the whole thing to be embossed. And really, I think it should almost be a staple in your toolkit if you do heat embossing and you enjoy heat embossing techniques, because it really does open the door for additional techniques that you can't get by just stamping with embossing ink or using embossing ink kind of on its own with a paintbrush or something like that. You have so much control with it using this as a pen. So you saw I did use the anti-static bag, and that is still a must because we don't want to be getting black embossing powder everywhere. Alright, and I'm almost done here, and you can see I can do the whole thing, and I don't have to worry about like stopping to do partial embossing along the way. I'm going to do the whole thing up at once. So just finish the O here. because I really want you to see how this all ends up working. The other cool thing about using an embossing pen is that if you miss a spot, you can come back and go over it with the embossing pen, and it'll grab just that area. Alright, so as you can see, I covered that up really well, and I'm going to go ahead and heat this up and you'll see the result in a second. Alright, so now that I have my embossing done, you can see I didn't quite get an even emboss on that, and that's okay. I just took a black marker and filled in the spaces. So this one has a little bit more texture to it than the original one, but I think it looks just as cool. So now the next step is to go ahead and fussy cut, and I just want to give you a few tips on that. So for this particular stamp set, what I found really helpful was to come in and just cut these little notches separately, and that really helped to get those cut out. So then I came back up and just cut up and up and up and up, and then you can see that those guys just came right out, and then I get a really, really great cut. I'm going right on a line with this, so this one too. I found, again, just easier to work this side especially by cutting these all as small pieces. So again, cutting in on these and then cutting up. So whatever order you end up wanting to cut them up on is fine. All right, so that's how those little ends work really well. And then I just came up here, and then I was able to cut the rest of this out, just like you would normally when fussy cutting. This one doesn't, it looks like it should take forever because there's all these little ins and outs and things like that, but because it's just this one all the way around, it's not like you have to cut each of these individual sections, right? It does actually cut pretty quick. So you can see, as per usual, when fussy cutting, I'm actually moving the paper and not my scissors. And I'm trying to keep the paper as far down the throat of the scissors as possible. You don't really do small snips when you're doing long sections like this. All right, so you can see how quickly that actually comes together. So I will go ahead and finish this up, and when I come back we can work on some assembly. Alright, so this is completed, nice and fussy cut, and now it is time to have some fun with adhesives. So let's just get this guy glued down on the card base. And that's pretty straightforward, right? And you can do whichever side you prefer. So if you want to go from orange to pink, or I mean yellow to pink or pink to yellow, either way will work, but that looks really, really awesome on there. And then I have this piece of gold glitter paper. This is from Kaiser Craft, and I want to adhere the hello to it. But the problem with glitter paper is that adhesives really don't always like to stick to them. So that's where these sticky squares come from scrapbook.com. And I'm actually going to use 3 of them, which might be an overkill, but it will work. So I'm just going to actually, you see how I flipped up the plastic on there? And I'm going to stick them right on, and they're going to stay attached to the glitter. So it's right there, there, and there. And actually you can see that really quite well in the video. actually better than I can see it in person almost. So they are just like sticky glue dot kind of things, and you could stick this right to it, but I do like to add just a little bit of regular adhesive. This will eventually dry on there. It's just that it takes longer to do so. So by adding just a little bit of extra of both, I know for sure that this is going to stick and it's not going to pop off when I send it to somebody. Okay, so I'm just going to push down on those little dots, which is going to help stick it now, and then the glue will help stick it over time. All right, so that's pretty good. And then I want to pop this up, so I'm going to use the 1-inch foam from scrapbook.com. And this comes in a huge roll, and it is, as you can see, 1 inch wide. And I just cut off what I need and pop that right on there. And if I feel like I could have used just a little bit more, of course I could add a little more. It cuts beautifully. It doesn't leave residue on my scissors, or at least I haven't noticed yet, so that's pretty good. And then for these little pieces here, I'm going to just add some of their squares. Now I like to do like with like, so they're both scrapbook.com products because they are the same thickness. Sometimes if you start mixing and matching adhesive foam, they're not the same thickness or the same density, and so they kind of squish differently, and you may end up with varied results when you put it down on your project. Okay, so with that said, this is easy enough, and I really actually like the backing on the smaller ones because it comes off and it doesn't have any static to it, so it's always just falling right off. It's not sticking to everything. Alright, so just pop that guy right in the center. If I wanted to, I could add another little one under here, which I might do later if I need to, but those are all down quite nicely. And then I thought I would just add some sequins. So this is the Vegas Baby Mix from Catherine Pooler. And grab a large one. And kind of a medium one. And a small one. There we go. This set has been well loved. I'm almost through it, which is really great. I love that these are so small because sometimes it takes a long time to go through sequins, especially when you're using them singly like this. All right, and then just use some on-point glue. Stick these down in place. And of course, I'm always doing them in like little groupings of 3. So it is appealing to the eye. This one's just a little close. And there we go. So a fun little project for Festive Friday that has lots of brightness for the spring that is most assuredly going to be on us soon. So I hope you join us for Festive Friday. Don't forget to check out the challenge and all the inspiration from all the designers. The challenge will be up for 10 days from today, so check it out and link up your project with us. We would love to see it. I will be back with another project soon, but until next time, happy crafting.